Good morning, I'm Nivareti Manu, and this is your morning news fix for Tuesday, 30th of April. In this update, tough reading for the coalition in the latest political poll. 6 months after winning power, they'd be out. The latest One News Varian poll shows National taking a 2-point hit, dropping to 36%. ACT fell 1 percentage point to 7, and New Zealand First's dropped below the 5% threshold and is on 4 points. Newstalk ZB political editor Jason Wall says voters don't like the look of what's happened over the past months.
Look back to the Melissa Lee sacking, look back to the Penny Simmons demotion as well. So it's really been a rough ride for the coalition government, and that's reflected in these numbers.
Antony Blinken says he hopes Hamas will accept Israel's latest offer for a 40-day truce in Gaza in return for the release of hostages. The US Secretary of State says a proposal currently being considered by Hamas is extraordinarily generous. Meanwhile, members of the United Nations have had their say on the state of New Zealand's human rights. The country's 5-yearly Universal Periodic Review has taken place in Geneva, which assesses our progress on a broad range of human rights issues. Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith led the New Zealand delegation. UN members, including Switzerland, Timor-Leste and Britain, have given recommendations mostly around the rights of Indigenous people, family and sexual violence, and the criminal justice system.
We remain concerned over reports stating that Maoris continue to face multiple types of discrimination.
Continue to address domestic violence.
More work could be undertaken to tackle family violence and child poverty.
The spotlight is on the Ministry of Disabled People once again, with a government review expected to be confirmed today. The ministry's come under fire recently for a series of events that began with funding restrictions and ended with Minister Penny Simmons' demotion. A briefing to the former Finance Minister obtained by our newsroom now reveals multiple significant concerns. The paper shows the 6-month establishment period created pressure for those setting it up and resulted in limited due diligence. Tasman's tourism sector is anticipating a quiet winter ahead. The April Nelson Tasman Tourism Recovery Report shows the region's visitor economy has grown over the past year, but sits below pre-COVID levels. Last year's international visitor spending was 64% of its 2019 level, while the national average was 77%. Cable Bay Adventure Park owner Richard Usher expects the increase in international tourists to drop over winter.
It does leave us in a little bit of an unknown in terms of what we're going to see this winter, with Kiwis very much keeping their hands in their pockets. So I definitely think there's a lot of nervous operators around the region.
In sport, the Tactics remain unbeaten in netball's ANZ Premiership after beating the Northern Mystics 62-59. Down by 4 at half-time at Trust's Arena, the Tactics turned it on in the third quarter as they swung into a 2-goal lead by the final break. England rugby number 8, Billy Vunipola, has apologised after being tasered and fined for resisting the law on the Spanish island of Mallorca. And Rugby Australia has announced a $9.2 million loss for the 2023 financial year. I'm Nivareti Manu, and that's your latest news fix. We'll be back with the next update at midday from the Newstalk ZB newsroom.